Hello everyone. We are so sorry. Unfortunately, there were a few glitches with the live stream, which meant we had to redo a whole link and a brand new live stream. So yet again, very sorry that this had to happen. But we are going to still go on track, and we're still going to continue with the live stream. So I do hope that you'll share the new link. The new link is now www.tinyurl.com/DMK Live 2020. That's the brand new link, so do join us on there. It is now going to reach soon enough, 3 o'clock, and we will then be interviewing our next guest, who is Sam Poole from the Hampshire Scouts. So do join us in just a moment. See you all very soon. Okay, very sorry about that. Hello everyone, very sorry yet again that there were some technical hitches, but what can a live stream be without any technical glitches? We will continue with our schedule, and then we will interview Bethan at 4 o'clock instead of 2:30. Very sorry again to Bethan as well, that it had to happen on her part. However, I'm very pleased to introduce Sam Poole, who is the lead for media and communications in Hampshire Scouts. Hello, Sam. Yes, we are doing very well. So I'm going to ask you some questions and then we'll go from there.
Fantastic. Sounds good to me.
Great. So how has lockdown been treating you?
Well, how's it been treating us all, really? It's been certainly challenging for Hampshire Scouts, to say the least, but it's not stopped us from, remaining resilient and cracking on with lots of activities from home, which I'm sure I'll get the opportunity to share with you a little shortly. So, but for me personally, it's been an opportunity to catch up on a few things, Scout related as well as in personal life as well. And it's all a bit strange. I'm missing my friends, missing seeing people, as I'm sure you are, and a lot of the viewers are also.
Definitely, and it's been difficult for us all, I must say, but we're all getting through it together, which is really good. What got you involved within the sector? What was the urge to join the Hampshire Scouts?
So for me, is the story goes back to when I was a 10-year-old. Actually, I joined my local group as a scout. It was a scout troop, so for 10 to 14-year-olds, and it was actually a friend of mine. He was interested. He was involved in the scouts, and I was interested in going along to the cadets at the time, but
Mm,
I didn't kind of develop anything in that, so I went into the scouts.
mm,
Um, and I just fell in love with it. Really, I fell in love with the fact that I had ample opportunity to meet lots of new friends, learn
yeah.
loads of new skills, and try things I perhaps would never have tried at school, for example, or just on a general weekend with mum and dad and family and friends.
Mm,
So as a result of kind of being in the Scouts as a young person from the age of 10, I went through to from scouts to explorers, and then on to hitting 18 years of age, and became an assistant section leader, which meant that I supported my other leaders who led a program for me to enjoy as a young person. I supported them with doing the same, but for other young people. So it's really nice to give something back to the community and to have a positive impact on the lives of young people, which is what we're all about doing. But in
mm,
addition to that, for me, it was just really rewarding. I was being challenged as a volunteer, and then I kind of went from one transition to the next in terms of roles. So my professional background is in the media. So
mm,
the skills that I grew and developed, working in the media, I kind of wanted to transfer those skills over to my voluntary role, which is what I do now. I do all the media and communications, oversee a brilliant team of volunteers for
mm,
Hampshire Scouts. So that's what's led me to being in this sector.
mm. Well, that's amazing, and you're doing such a great job, especially during lockdown. And I'm sure we'll get all into the nitty-gritty during this interview. Who are the Scouts, and what do they do exactly?
So the Scouts, it's the largest co-educational youth movement in the United Kingdom. So it's the largest youth organisation for boys and girls. We have more than 600,000 members in the UK, which is fantastic. And that's a combination of young people as well as adult volunteers as well. And ultimately, what our focus is with the Scouts is preparing young people for skills, with preparing them with having skills for life. So, for example, you're a young person and you want to be prepared for that job interview in many years from now, or you want to know how to become a better public speaker,
Mm,
or perhaps you want to, really grow and develop your outdoors adventure skills. The Scouts is all about building young people with skills for life, but adult volunteers too. And for us, we're a fully inclusive movement and we celebrate that. And a lot of people don't actually know that more than a third of our membership is actually female now.
mm,
Because, of course, as many of your viewers may be aware, that the Scouts, when it originally launched, was just for boys. But
yeah,
actually, we've got boys and girls. And that's something we really celebrate and we really pride ourselves on as well. So it's great to have hundreds of thousands of young people involved in the Scouts. Locally in Hampshire, more specifically, we are the largest Scout county in the UK. So we've got the largest membership when it comes to Scout members. We have more than 18,500 members.
mm,
And about 10,000 of them are adult volunteers as well. And without those adult volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do half the stuff that we do.
definitely. Well, that's just amazing to hear that actually, the female representation is actually coming along within Scouts, and for such a quite a traditional, I guess, group, and for have quite deep roots, which is quite good. So, how long have you been a part of Scouts?
So for me, I've been part of Scouts when I was 10, so I'm 24 now, and so for a good 14 years. And I think for me, on a personal level, is I couldn't imagine my life without Scouts
Mm,
because it's part of my DNA, if you want to
mm,
put it that way. It's really had such a positive impact on my life personally. It's nice to give something back to the community. And I know, for a lot of people that's quite cliche, giving something back to the community, but just seeing some of your guests on the live stream today and
mm,
the other member of youth parliaments and stuff, it's fantastic to see people on fire and really keen to have a positive impact on the community.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's how long I've been doing it for.
That's amazing, to say the least, really. So, what do you think has been the highlight of your time with the Scouts?
For me personally,
Yes,
my
yes.
personal highlight, yeah. So for me personally, it's the friendship actually.
Mm,
That's been a huge highlight for me. Particularly from as an adult volunteer, is the last couple of years I've had so many opportunities to go, places across the UK. November, for example, I was up in Hull. I went up north. I met
mm.
loads of new people to support them with a media weekend actually. So met new friends. And the last 2 consecutive years, I've participated in the London Pride Parade.
Oh
So I've
yeah.
actually marched on behalf of the Scouts, and met new friends as a result of that.
Yeah, and
So it's difficult to pinpoint.
sorry, you're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
So yeah, as I was saying, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly, one of my greatest memories, but the greatest things I've got is friendship. And with this NECA, for example, this is a friendship knot, and you'll see a lot of being in the Scouts is all about building friendships and really developing your skills.
Yeah, and that's really awesome. So, what has been, challenging for the Scouts movement since lockdown?
Well, when the lockdown was implemented by the government, the Scouts, of course, along with many other youth organisations and many other charities, in fact, had to adhere to the government guidelines. And what the Scouts decided to do was actually suspend all face to face scouting activities. The reason for that is because the safety of our members is a priority. And of course, as Scouts, as a movement, we really wanted to play our part in,
Mm,
limiting the spread coronavirus and everything else. So as a youth organisation, we had to really adapt, how we would continue to do scout activities while not having face-to-face activities.
mm,
So during lockdown, what we have done while face-to-face activities have been suspended is we launched the Great Indoors and
mm,
Scouts Online as well. The Great Indoors was fantastic, actually. It was an initiative
mm,
um, from the Scouts headquarters, and that was all about getting young people engaged with Scout activities from
yeah,
the comfort of their own home. And for us as Scouts, if anything, it was our gift to the community because, as
yes,
you may understand, is there are a lot of parents, there are a lot of children that aren't engaged in Scouts that suddenly had all this time on their hands because they weren't going to school, and then you had these parents, many of whom were still working from
mm,
home, as well as homeschooling and doing all these other things. So the Great Indoors was actually providing these parents with the resources and the activities to do all these really fun and interactive, activities and challenges with their children. So that has been a huge achievement for the Scouts throughout lockdown, and something we're really proud about.
definitely, and you should be. And it's just great to see so many, Scouts actually coming together and staying strong throughout this whole process. And that it literally shows how important Scouts are. Number one, but number two, that Scouts they always stick together through no matter what. So it's really good to see.
And that's exactly it, Dimitri. As you said, Scouts sticking together,
Mm,
and with my voluntary role as media communications manager for Hampshire Scouts, along with my brilliant team, is we have the privilege of actually seeing all the stories that people have to share.
yeah.
So when people have been sharing videos on social media, emailing us pictures, and telling us their stories, it's been fantastic to see so many young people and adults engage with Scout activities across Hampshire and beyond from the comfort of their own home. Just to quickly tell you a story, is there was a couple of families, to a local neighbourhood, and you had one family doing camping, scout, camp indoors or camp at
Mm,
home. So they're actually setting up tents in their garden and had a small fire to make it like a scout camp. And then likewise, a couple of doors down, you had another family doing the same thing. And it's just fantastic to actually see scouts still at work in the communities, within the neighbourhoods, and people sharing those stories.
Definitely. It's like I said, the community continues to grow together and it continues to work together even through lockdown, which is just amazing to see, really. And I've been, of course, following Scouts all over social media, and you really have a really good at-home presence, which is really important. So, my next question to you is, how have you continued to engage with Scouts during COVID? What kind of software would you have to use to do so?
So I think what we have been doing is the obvious. So we've been doing virtual scout activities. So that has been scout meetings done via Zoom, or scout volunteers, adult volunteers. They've kind of put a program together and they've shared it with their young people. And an example would be the photography badge. So they've asked young people to kind of be creative with a camera and then send in their images. So they're still engaged in scout activities, even though there's not necessarily, say, a Zoom meeting taking place. Alternatively, there's been kind of virtual events. So I know Scout, we've had the big campfire, which was a virtual event, as well as a St George's Day celebration. And collectively, those two, so that was something worth celebrating and really kind of, being pleased about. And in addition to that, what we have been doing is we've been sending out plenty of information to adult volunteers to support them with actually putting a program together. So that could be things like a link to a website with loads of fun activities on, but at the same time, leaders are also collaborating more than ever before and sharing ideas across different groups, which has been fantastic, and it's meant that young people haven't missed out on the brilliant scout activities, but also more young people that have never engaged with scouts have engaged with scouts.
Well, that. Like I said, it's great to hear, and it's good to see that actually young people who necessarily didn't know anything about Scouts actually enjoying the Scout activities, and perhaps after lockdown they might even you might see a bigger intake in Scouts. So it's really good to see. So, what do you think has been the biggest problem amongst young people during COVID?
I think for me personally, and this is me speaking on behalf of my personal
Mm,
opinion and not of the Scouts. I think actually, a challenge for young people is, a lot of them have had their youth groups cut. Scouts even, they've stopped doing the face-to-face activities. So they've got so many hours in the day, but not much to do. And I think one of the biggest challenges when it comes to young people is actually keeping them occupied, keeping them on their feet, busy, keeping their brain active, doing all these things. I praise the schools for their efforts in doing schooling from home. And there's so many other initiatives that have taken place. But I think, more can be done, more needs to be done. And that's why I'm proud to be a volunteer with this youth organisation, because we've done so much to actually, offer to young people to keep them kind of engaged and active, throughout these challenging times.
exactly, yeah. So, what have been some of the biggest achievements during lockdown or since lockdown?
I think for me, one of the largest achievements for Hampshire Scouts is actually we have reached more homes, more people, young and adults, than ever before, which is brilliant. And one of the beauties of the activities that we do is young people get up to so much, and there's so much opportunity out there to shout. Uh, about story, positive things. But even like losing calls, at home, reading books, all of that, we're engaging, or we're getting people engaged with Scouts, more people than ever before. And even people that perhaps were people that perhaps may have
Oh, sorry again. Basically, it keeps breaking up, and not too sure what keeps on happening. But I'm sure that we can continue to do everything that we are doing. I am just connecting back to Zoom. I'm just going to check how everyone is doing, and I hope everyone is still watching, of course. It is restarting, so do bear with me. Hello, Sam. There was just basically just a Zoom
I mean, could
restarted. Are
that's
you
okay. The
okay?
joys of technical issues.
Yes. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, I was just saying that one of the biggest achievements for the Scouts is actually we've had more people involved in Scout activities than ever. And, it kind of, the lockdown is unfortunate and it's been really challenging for many families throughout this difficult time. But at the same time, had it not been for lockdown, we wouldn't be engaging with the numbers that we are engaging with through virtual Scouts as well.
Yeah, and it's really good. It really is. So, where do you see Scouts in 1 year from now?
It's difficult to say because who knows where this lockdown will go. Will face-to-face activities, restart a year from now with the Scouts? I hope so, and I'm confident they will. But of course, we do have to follow guidelines of HQ in London. But what I would like to see actually with the Scouts is Scouts online
Hmm.
people continuing to embrace Scouts online. And because even though face-to-face activities will potentially restart, it'll be great to actually have kind of a hybrid approach, so a combination of face-to-face activities as
Hmm.
well as online activities.
Yeah, and I think that's the approach to go, and I guess that will be the new normal quite soon. So, how has Zoom played an important part within keeping young people engaged with the Scouts?
Zoom is brilliant. So I'm confident you've used Zoom pretty
Mm,
regularly yourself. But what I really appreciate about Zoom is it has been providing an opportunity for the young people to see their fellow pitters, see their friends, excuse me, albeit not personally, as in person, but it makes such a difference for that young person to see their leader's face and to see another young person on the call and to just smile and to talk and to interact and engage. So I think Zoom has been really instrumental in ensuring that those friendships and those actual face-to-face conversations continue to take place. But in addition to that, Zoom has provided us with opportunity to approach various activities in a different way.
mm,
So an example being is there's a leader in Hampshire who did storytelling for 6 to 8 year olds in the Scouts, our beavers, and she kind of shared she photocopied the book, she shared it on the screen, and as she was telling the story they could see the illustrations of the book and the graphics, and the story came alive, and you had all these 6 to 8 year olds really engaged and
mm.
hooked into the content and stuff that was going on. And of course that is all because of things like Zoom, which has been brilliant.
Yeah, and that it's good that that you're still finding a way to engage with, like you said, perhaps your younger generation. So that's really good to hear. So, if people perhaps want to get involved, how can they and who do they approach?
What I would encourage people to do is head to our website. It's hampshirescouts.org.uk. Simple. And on that, you'll people that are interested in becoming a volunteer or becoming getting involved as a young person, the opportunities are there. There's a fantastic tool on our website as well, which links you to another website where actually people can look up their local scout group and get in contact with the volunteer manager of that scout group and get involved. But on the topic of get involved, I think what's so important to emphasise is actually none of what we do as scouts would be possible if it wasn't for the generosity of time from our adult volunteers. So something that if there's a a takeaway that your viewers get from our discussion, it would be volunteer or encourage people to volunteer, because we've got thousands of young people on our waiting lists across the country because of a shortage of volunteers. So if we can get some more volunteers involved, then we can grow the movement and we can positively impact the lives of more young people, which is fantastic.
It is, yeah, that's amazing. So, if viewers do want to get involved, it is hampshirescouts.org.uk, and you can find all the information you need is there. So, what do you think will be the biggest changes after the lockdown is completely lifted?
I think initially there'll be precautions in place. So once lockdown's lifted, once our face-to-face activities resume, I think there'll be a lot of precautions. So quoting you on what you said a little earlier, the new normal. So who knows what the new normal will look like, but whatever it does look like, I'm confident Hampshire Scouts and other youth organisations alike will, adapt in order to continue to do the good work they do. But I think, just to echo something I said earlier, it's having a hybrid approach moving forward. When those face-to-face activities resume, also still embracing the online, the digital world, and the opportunities that provides as well.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, last question before the interview ends. Thank you so much for coming along. So, one piece of advice, should you offer it, for the viewers during lockdown, what do you think that would be?
One piece of advice for the viewers during lockdown. Um, I would say keep your brain active, whether that's reading a book, whether it's watching a documentary, or whether it's doing something. Just keep your mind active. Don't get me wrong, I love trashy TV. I love to sit in front of the TV for hours and binge on a series or something like that. But at the same time, I think it's so important that you exercise your brain, you learn something new. The phrase "learn something new every day." I'm a real big believer in that, and that actually, I learned so much in the Scouts as well. So I just encourage people to, just keep active, keep their brain active, pick up a new hobby, whatever it may be. It could be anything, but learn something new.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam, for coming along and letting me interview you. Like I said, you can visit www.hampshirescouts.org.uk to get involved and for some more information. Sam, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All the best for the live stream.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye now.
Well, thank you everyone. That was Sam Poole of the Hampshire Scouts, and he is the Assistant County Commissioner for Media and Communications in the Hampshire Scouts. So we're very, very sorry, but there have been a few technical hitches along the way, but we did expect it for the first live stream. So do keep on donating. The link for donating has not changed. You can still go to www.tinyurl.com/the DMK Fund, and for more info, you can visit that website and the link tree. The link tree has now been updated with the new link to watch, so do watch and do share. The new link to watch is www.tinyurl.com/DMK Live 2020. Now, I am going to give you all an update on the GoFundMe page. So, an amazing 3 other donors have donated, and we are now at a total of £302 out of the £500 target. So, thank you very much to everyone who has donated. Keep on donating by going to www.tinyurl.com/the DMK Fund. Our next guest I will introduce very soon to you. However, she is the project manager of Andover Trees United up here in Andover. So she is Wendy Davis, and we will be speaking to her about the work that Andover Trees United do, and I'm very excited to join her. So coming up, of course, we've got Wendy at 3:30, and then at 4 o'clock we will do the rescheduling of Bethan's interview, unfortunately, as it did break up halfway through Bethan's interview, and I felt that was really unfair, so we will be redoing her interview at 4 o'clock, and we will, of course, announce the new competition at 4 o'clock as well. However, then we have some new people at 4:30. We have Gareth Boys and Thomas Gosh of the Hampshire Youth Parliament we'll be talking to. At 5 o'clock, we will hopefully have Faith Oliver MYP, who's a member of Youth Parliament for Stockport. And then at 5:30, we'll hopefully have Councillor Ros Chad, and she is the County Councillor for Hampshire County Council, as well as the Executive Member for Education and Skills. So, moving swiftly on. We will now be interviewing Wendy Davis, who's the project director of Andover United, and she has been working tirelessly for Andover United for quite some time, ever since it was set up. So, I will now introduce you to Wendy. Hello, Wendy. Hopefully, we will get on it. Hello. We will hopefully speak to her quite soon. As you can see, £302 has been raised of the 500 target. So to donate, go to www.tinyurl.com/the DMK Fund. The time now is 3:29, 1 minute till 3:30, and we are now going to be interviewing Wendy Davis, who's the project director at Andrew Choose United. Hello, Wendy.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. Oh, hang on. Apparently, I need. Oh no, we're there.
There we
Good.
go.
Hi.
Good. So I'll ask you some questions, and then we'll see where we go.
Brilliant.
So, how's lockdown been treating you?
Quite well, actually. I think I'm one of the fortunate few. Well, maybe so I can enjoy what's on my doorstep, because the work that we do is very much outdoors. Social distancing is less difficult than it is for others, so we've been able to carry on doing that. And personally, I've got company in the house, so I've not been alone either. So yes, it's presented problems and sort of challenges, but on the whole, I've been very lucky. Thank you.
Good. So what got you involved in the charity sector or the non-profit sector or the environmentalist sector, should you say?
Really interesting question. Well, looking back, community service was an expectation. It played a part in, so as well as lessons and going to school, we were expected as young people to find ways of helping others in our community. This is quite a long time ago now. And our towns were smaller. I come from the Midlands, and a town called Tamworth, which is very similar to Andover in its history. And it was a community where people knew each other. The town was full of shops. People lived in the town, and we were encouraged to go and help at the hospital or help in the almshouses, to look out for our neighbours, to do errands. So I think I grew up understanding that people need help, and that people welcome help, and it's a friendly and sociable thing to do. And then as a profession, I took up teaching, and again that works very much with people and community. So I suppose that carries on the idea of helping others in some way. And so I didn't start by thinking that the environment was something that was an area, charitable area that I would work in. It was very much about people and communicating. But I think my father used to take me for walks in woods. Well, parents did. So as a child, we spent a lot of time in nature, in woods, in woodlands. My father was a rambler. And increasingly over the years, it became apparent that the environment and the natural world were under threat. There were many challenges, and that societies didn't always step forward to address those challenges. So more and more over the years, I found out about Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth. Locally, a group of us set up the Transition Town group. So it was more of a gradual way in, I think, but based on the idea of supporting one's community in some way.
Definitely, and it's really good because a lot of people do get involved within the charity sector, and everyone has their own individual way of being bought into it. So, Under Trees United, tell me all about it.
Okay, right. Just refer to my notes here so I don't get phased. All right. Okay. So thinking back to what I just said about environment and community, I think it tries to marry the two. The original vision was that we would involve all the children in the town. And being a teacher and working at Portway at the time, I became aware that children loved being outdoors, and that if we could do our lessons in the outdoors, they loved that. And whether it was digging huge holes to get out weeds, or planting trees, or growing vegetables, or just doing our science work outside, it was something that the children really took to. But then they've taken a lot of time, and I think have taken the emphasis off environmental education and sustainability. And it's something that teachers and head teachers value, but I was aware were finding difficult to make time for. So I began to develop ways and projects when I was still teaching that might make it possible. And then realized that things can change very quickly, and that not all schools have teachers who had maybe the knowledge and the background that I had. So I reached out to all the schools in the town while I was still teaching and said, how would you feel about us all getting together and putting tree planting and climate change sort of into our school teaching? And if we form a group outside of schools that will support this and make it happen, would you like to get involved? And all of the schools that we approached said yes, they were interested. So right at the very beginning, within just a few months of sending out the invitation, we had 18 schools, all Andover based and surrounding villages, saying, we think this is a great idea. Yes, let's give it a go. And so it grew from there. So we knew that if we could work with schools, we could involve all the children, which is part of their United Nations Charter rights, as well as hit our Sustainable Development Goals. We could bring parents and families in. And that's sort of how it's been.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Trees United has...
and we've gone from there, really.
Yeah, and sorry, you were breaking up, that's all. So basically, Andrew Trees United has quite a long history.
Okay, sorry.
It has a long history, and everyone in Andover has almost always once been involved with Andover Trees United. So it's really good to see.
Yes, and I probably sort of didn't quite answer the question about what it is, but I just thought if I gave a little bit of the why.
Yeah.
So we sourced a piece of land, and in order to plant a wood and to engage the whole community in planting that wood and creating a legacy for the town, but also improve and protect biodiversity at the same time. So it was meant to be a marrying of nature and community and bringing us closer together, if that it helps a bit.
Definitely. So you are, I guess, the top person in Andover Trees United. You're the very, very top, and you wave down from below. So tell me about your role as project director, I guess. What does this include and what does this entail?
Well, I hope I'm not so high up there that, everyone does that. Because I really hope that, I may come up with a lot of the ideas and I may initially have been the driving force behind it. But I truly hope that those that are involved feel that it is teamwork and that everyone's ideas and contributions are equally valued. So over the years, we had to make a decision. 2015, us see a very small group of maybe half a dozen people who were very committed. Came out of the Transition Town group originally, and then others joined in. And we worked with 25 schools. We had an annual tree plan, 30 schools that we work with.
Hello. Hello? It's all being a bit weird. Oh. Okay, can anyone hear me? Do let me know in chat. Wendy is just gone for some reason. Hello? Okay, no, I think it was just Wendy that went. Very sorry, guys, but that everything just keeps on breaking up, unfortunately. I'm just not sure what's going on today, but it is our first live stream, so I assumed that some things would go wrong. Not this badly wrong, but yes. So, I mean, we will hopefully get Wendy back up and running. Okay, that's good. Thank you, James, for keeping an eye out. Okay, cool. Right, Wendy's gone, unfortunately. I'm not too sure why Wendy is gone, but Wendy is gone. We will hopefully get her back quite soon. But in the meantime... Oh, there we go. Look, Wendy's already here. So we have raised £302 total at the moment. I haven't refreshed it, so there may be a few moments, but do continue to donate to the live stream by going to www.tinyurl.com/the DMK Fund. Hello, Wendy.
Hi, I'm so sorry. We have resolved technical issues at this end, which Wi-Fi just dropped. So I'm so sorry about that.
Oh,
do you want me to pick up? Because I remember what you'd asked me.
Yes, go for it, please.
Great. So, I very kindly you asked sort of how, what advice I might give to people who would like to get involved. And I think it says when you see Andover Trees United, you think maybe it's just about planting trees. And I hope that if anybody caught the list of tasks that somebody has to undertake when one puts together any event, there's behind the scenes work as well as sort of getting mucky work. So there's lots to do. And I think a lot of people, I don't know. I mean, maybe you think maybe have an original intention, or that looks good, or I must see about that. And And I think sometimes it's difficult to follow through. Everyone's very busy. They're not quite sure what's involved. So I would say if you are interested and anything about the charity piques your interest, we have a great website which gives you a lot of background to the charity, a lot of insight into what we do, and covers the breadth of what we do. So, and there is a really easy contact page there. So get in touch, and one of us will get back to you and with a little bit more detail. Under normal circumstances, I would say we meet in the wood every Monday, and a couple of Saturdays as well each month. So just coming up and saying hello is a good way to start. But it's there's a really lovely, friendly group of people, and we do spend time outdoors, which makes everyone feel better. The wood, if you've not been there, is looking lovely in the summer, so it's a great place to spend time. And you can work from home and help from behind the scenes if you'd rather. So, lots to do. Okay, I've got you back again.
Okay. Right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So it keeps breaking up. I'm not too sure why.
Okay.
Thank you. That was lovely advice. So what has been, do you think, the highlight of your time with ATU?
I think every planting fortnight is just a delight. We have 1,000 children over 2 weeks come up, and from the just I don't know, the commitment of mums, dads, regular volunteers, school teachers, just all the adults that help make it happen, and the businesses that get involved, and then the children when they come up and get stuck in. It is just a delight. And then we had a wonderful moment in 2015 when we won the Guardian Observer Ethical Awards, and for the Young Green Champions category. And although I was traveling at the time, to be able to nominate 2 young people to go up to London and meet the great and the good and receive this award on all our behalves was fantastic. And I think meeting Jane Goodall, having the opportunity to form really strong connections with the Roots and Shoots team in London, be introduced to Jane Goodall, actually have dinner with them at Windsor Castle, and then Peace Day processions, huge doves that have been carried aloft through the wood. So lots and lots of really great moments. Yeah.
I guess it is quite hard to pick just one, isn't it?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, you got 3 or 4 to choose from there.
Yes. So, I mean, during lockdown, what have you as a charity been working on?
Staying connected, really. We have 2 volunteers who maintain social distance, and visit the wood every Monday, and just look after things. Yes, just make sure that there is a presence and keep an eye on it if anything needs doing. It's been I hope a benefit to them as individuals, because it's allowed them to have some company, socially distanced, cup of tea, but carry on cup of tea at 5 meters, but just to be able to harmony, join them. But then wherever you walk, it's just a lovely thing to do, to take a little snap, whether it's a ladybird or a leaf on the ground or a spider or a flower, and add that. It then just becomes world data on nature. So we've set that up. We've written some resources so that schools can continue with their trees and try and parent website with some just ideas to do. And we've also so we're inviting anyone to send us a piece of artwork of whatever sort. We had a theme of bees last month. It's wildflowers this. So we'd love just finding ways to keep people engaged and involved, really.
Definitely. So how have you continued to engage with your wide circle of volunteers? So, I mean, how has that worked?
That's a good question. Well, we've got the two who sort of are very self-contained and know the wood really well. So I sort of text them, message them to make sure they're okay. We have a management team, the guys who make this happen on a daily basis. When we're able to get out and about, they offer practical help and donate many hours to the wood itself and setting up events. But there's a dozen of them have also formed a sort of a management team, the people, that group that actually drives things and makes things happen. So I've learned how to use Zoom and learned how to use Google Meet. So we have online meetings every fortnight. And then in between times, if we need to get in touch, well, we Zoom or phone each other. There's Alex, the intern that I mentioned. She's taken huge responsibility for social media. She writes a weekly roundup that gets posted on Facebook. She writes a monthly newsletter. We do regularly update the website and use social media to post things. So, and then if I think anyone has been missed out because I know they don't use social media, then I'll put together an email and wing it out just to make sure everyone's in touch.
Yes. Well, so what has been the biggest adjustment that you yourself have had to make to continue your job during lockdown?
Well, I think getting familiar with online meetings. I mean, we all knew it was possible, but we rarely took advantage of it. So that's been a real adjustment, and adjusting to different time frames. You know, although we appear to have had more time, quite often things take longer. Some people have been, lockdown has hit people in really very different ways. You know, some have terribly, terribly sad stories and events that have taken place. Others have been frustrated by not having enough to do. Others have had too much to do. So it's really hit everybody very differently. And I think one has to be very understanding at this time and know that people are still out there and want to contribute, but that their own lives have taken a very unexpected turn. So one just has to hopefully just be there and just keep gently reminding. So schools in particular, we would by now be making, well, at this point, we would actually be inviting children and their teachers to the wood for some field study work. We have some funding from Disney through the Jane Goodall Institute for 6 or 7 local schools to come up to the wood and undertake field study work. We've not been able to do any of that. So that's on hold. We have an artist who has been running Ash Tree Stream, again, with 5 local schools. That's an Arts Council funded project. It's not been forgotten, but it's had to go on hold. And then we had a wonderful felling day on the Englefield estate just south of Reading in February, just before lockdown started. And we have timber that we are going to donate to crafters and artists so that we can tell the story of one tree once it's been felled, what happens to it, what can it give back to us even after it's been felled. we're only just now being able to go back onto the estates and collect that timber and distribute it. So at the moment, I'm having to, just try and get in touch with people and find ways of them coming together to select some timber and take it away and just keep people in communication, really. So it's not been any less hard work. It's just been very different.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Wendy, for letting me interview you, and hope all goes well in lockdown.
Well, can I thank you, because this is such a tremendous achievement, and you're so generous with your time to us as a charity, and to have put this together as well is just incredible. So thank you from all of us here.
Well, thank you so much, and we will chat soon.
Okay.
Great. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. That was Wendy Davis, and she is the project director for Endometriosis United. So we will be talking to Bethan Hogan today in 2 minutes' time. But do please hold as we come back very shortly. Thank you very much. If you can, of course, that would be lovely. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Big 12 Hour live stream. Hope everyone is quite well. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to think. Okay. Right, hang on a second whilst I try to do this. Okay. Alright guys, welcome back to the 12-hour live stream. Very sorry for all the technical difficulties that have been occurring throughout. Okay, so now I will redo my interview with Bethan Hogan. Bethan Hogan is the member of the Youth Parliament for North East Hampshire, and we'll be interviewing her today. Unfortunately, when all the technical difficulties happened, actually Bethan was the one affected because they happened during Bethan's slot. So we are going to redo her interview today at 4 o'clock. Hello, Bethan. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
Yes,
long time no see.
Yeah, totally. Not when technical difficulties happen. Right. Well, so sorry that it had to happen during your slot of all times. But we will hopefully redo your interview.
No problem. I got a great 20 minutes of revision done.
Yes. Do you mind just recapping what your work with NCB revolves around?
Okay, so I do a few things with NCB. I'm a member of their advisory group, so we look at what kind of campaigns we can run for young people how we can get young people involved in government and decision making. So kind of a bit like what UK Youth Parliament does, but more with directly giving evidence to select committees and stuff like that. I also do their young research advisors. So that means that we have different people who want to run projects with youth organisations, and we help develop good feedback for them on how youth voice can be improved, and we give them our opinion on apps they're developing or certain things that they. And then recently I've also become a young representative to their board of trustees. So now I sit on their board meetings and I give the young person's voice. So if I think that something is going really well or needs to be improved, then I also voice that to the highest level that we have in NCB, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it seems like a really awesome opportunity. So much so, you gave me the opportunity and I took it full on. So I'm really excited to actually be a part of Young NCB now. So basically, you are the member of the Youth Parliament for North East Hampshire. How has that been going?
Great. I mean, obviously at the moment it's quite difficult with lockdown and everything, but I mean, what a time to get youth a voice, right?
Yeah.
There's never been youth voice always been important, but now more than ever is when we have to be engaging youth voice. So I mean, it comes with its own challenges, but we are all working so hard, and the amount of outreach we've had from communities and engagement from young people and their views have actually been really nice to see.
So, can you offer perhaps a piece of advice for young people who want to get involved in the youth sector?
Yes, I mean, I try not to be really stereotypical. I mean, of course, I would say join it. Like, don't be scared. Get involved. I guess another thing I would say is, I mean, I don't know about you, but before I got involved in one part of the youth sector, it seems to a lot of young people that there's the people in Parliament and they represent everyone who's above 18 and they don't want anything to do with us. And I feel like that is quite a typical view. But as youth MP and as a young person also, that it's more important that we engage with everyone and that we take the step to talk to not just our MP but also local councillors and other people in the area. So when as youth MP, I try not to always go to my MP on stuff. I've launched a really nice connection. I've got to know my local councillors a lot better through being a member of youth parliament, and I've got to talk to them about ways that we can change youth voice but directly in the community, which is really nice. And I think that sometimes there's a view with the whole you have to go big, but actually if you are someone who doesn't like speaking or someone who's just a bit shy and doesn't necessarily wants to get involved but doesn't want to do what we do and go to different schools and do assemblies, then actually there's a lot more out there than you think, and it's all about finding what works for you and rolling with it.
Definitely. And that, I guess that could be the main piece of advice I would ever give, really. Always just go for it. You try any activity or opportunity you want, because you just can't sit on your bum all day and watch the news and say, oh, that's bad, but then not do anything about it, really. So yeah, I get that
Yeah,
completely.
exactly.
So what do you think has been the highlight of your time within the UK Parliament?
Ooh, I guess there's big achievements, and then there's also just like kind of personal development things. So for me, the biggest achievement is obviously having spoken in the House of Commons about protecting the environment. That's one of those things that, I mean, me and you, we say it quite a lot, but even getting the next day, waking up and going, we just sat on the green benches in the House of Commons. Like it was the weirdest feeling, and it was really empowering.
It was.
It really was. But I guess as a personal thing, like I am so lucky just to be able to go out every day. Well, apart from right now, but to be able to go out and talk to young people, and the groups that we have, the people in UK Youth Parliament are so great. So I mean, we have our Hampshire youth MPs, and they're all brilliant. And then we have further out, we have our SG, we have such a great connection. We have the group chats that go on. It's one of the things I love about UK Youth Parliament is that it really does feel like a family, and that's something that's really important.
For sure, and like you said, is that really like some sort of community or almost, I guess, family feel to the whole organisation? I mean, our support workers amazing. She's our second mum. But she really does care a lot for us, and the opportunities that we've been given because of the Hampshire Youth Parliament, or just the Youth Parliament in general, is just amazing. I really can't put it better. So, during lockdown, what have you been trying to aim towards or campaigning for?
I guess it's quite hard because a lot of our work is normally done through schools. So that's definitely been something we've had to change it, looking at how we do. So a lot of my stuff is now online or talking with individual people through social media or surveys or why I can't just go directly to schools and do an assembly anymore. With regards to campaigns, it is mainly as it can be. I think that as I said, if I don't come out of lockdown with the best set of revision notes, then I haven't done lockdown well enough. And as we progressed, I've kind of realised, like, actually, being at home meant that I was working myself so much harder than I should have. And there's a whole view of, like, we're stuck at home, we need to do loads more work or do these other things and take up a new hobby. But actually, like, it's okay to just take a moment for yourself. I mean, this is a completely stressful and an unprecedented situation, but taking the moment to go on a walk, or now that you can see people, seeing them, but making sure that you're safely 2 meters away, but just like maintaining some sort of human contact and taking time to reflect on yourself and making sure that you're okay and that you feel supported with people around you, because even though you aren't with your friends necessarily, you still can talk to them. I mean, me and you, we FaceTime enough, so we get to talk to each other, and if there's ever a problem, I just think that something we've really got to make sure is that if young people feel alienated at this time, then they have the opportunity to come to one of us, or they know that they can go to a friend or a teacher. And I think that's something that is definitely being improved during lockdown, but it's something that definitely needs a bit more work, particularly for people who are self-shielding or who live with vulnerable people.
For sure, yeah. So, right, this might be a bit of a difficult one, but what do you think has been the biggest problem amongst young people during COVID?
I guess it's been hard on everyone, right? But I guess the hardest thing is education, and also that, I mean, for me, a lot of my education is quite social. So as a politics student, a lot of our work is also done through conversations about it and debates and presentations. So suddenly being like sat on a screen for 8 hours a day is really weird for me, and maintaining like the level of self-control that I'll be sitting in politics or history or German or whatever, not to go, oh, look over there, like there's something's gone on TV or my phone's gone off. I definitely think that education is a hard thing for young people at the moment. And then also the idea that we can't go out and see our friends. I mean, we can now, but at the beginning of it, it was very scary for young people whose whole, and other people's do as well, but our education also revolves around being able to see other people in our classes and having to read through a presentation when you can't see anyone or you're just with the same household. It was definitely something that I think a lot of young people struggled with.
Yeah, and there's still an amount of uncertainty around how school will work and how, GCSEs or SATs or whatever young people may be going through. There's still a level of uncertainty, and I guess that's still, part of education. And yeah, education is definitely still one of the biggest problems that young people are still facing. So, couple of last questions for you. So, what do you think has been the biggest adjustment that you yourself have had to make to basically continue your job during lockdown?
I guess it is just a lot of the ways we communicate. So within Youth Parliament, we have quite a good method of communication. So we have like WhatsApps and messengers, and we all have emails. But I guess connecting with schools, as I said earlier, normally we could just email, phone up a teacher and say, "Hey, can we do an assembly?" And we'd go in 2 weeks later and we'd talk to them. Whereas a lot of or at least a lot of my things have obviously been cancelled. And now it's like how do I keep what I was doing before? But how do I make it so that young people who were at home can do it and still feel like they get something out of it? So I'm looking at the moment as a way of kind of putting assembly work, but online, and then just spreading the message that before lockdown, we were really good at making sure that young people knew that there was a youth MP that they could go to. But now more than ever is when they need or should know that there's someone there for them if they need to talk about issues. So definitely use of methods of communication both within schools and also making sure that my social media is also a lot better with regards to trying to reach young people.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. So, what do you think will be the biggest changes after the lockdown is lifted?
Are we talking like completely lifted, or?
I say completely lifted, but you never know. I don't think it's going to go straight back to normal straight away, is it? There's going to be a new normal.
Yeah, I guess that it is the weirdest thing will be seeing people but maybe not being able to automatically hug them or like high five. Or I mean, it was weird at the beginning of lockdown is that you'd see people just before the whole lockdown came in, you'd see people and then you were like, oh wait, we've got to make make sure that we stood further back. And I guess once, I don't know what it's like in schools currently because my college haven't resumed bringing everyone back yet, so I'm still home learning. But I guess it must be quite weird to be. A lot of schools have their own like bubbles, and to be able to be with 8 people, but always have to be socially distanced, or to have to know that I can see my friends, but I can't hug them, or I can't, if they're sad, like what can I do from
Yeah,
2 meters away? It's just that it's a very weird thought.
sure.
And then I guess my classes are fairly small, but how are we going to fit the 20 of us there are in a class if we're social distancing?
Definitely. So like I said, it's quite, there's some ambiguity around the whole idea of education and how that will work in the new normal. So, last question for you. What one piece of advice would you offer for the viewers during lockdown?
I guess there's like different branches of it.
Yeah.
The main one for me is like make sure that you take time for yourself. Me and you, I know we're both a bit of a workaholic. We
Yeah.
both do a lot. Like if I get stressed or I'm bored, I will just work. And throughout the lockdown, one thing I've noticed is the need to kind of take more time for myself, as it were. Like reflect. Actually, I don't need to be working till 9:30 at night every night trying to do college work. And I guess making sure that yes, we're at home, yes, we're having to be careful, but you can still, like, I've seen so much of the local area recently that is so lovely that I haven't really got to know that much, but through going on walks every day or like just taking a day on a weekend. So today I travelled to Horsell and I went on a walk around Horsell Common, and that was really nice. Like there's so much hidden in the area that I didn't really know there was. So that was really nice. I guess if I'm being, another part of me says, I know it's difficult, but keep with the education as much as possible. Because I mean, one of the biggest worries that I have is that I'll go back to college and I won't be as good as I could be because I've been learning it all from home. But I guess it's the making sure that whatever you're doing, it's the right mix for you. So you're not, so you're keeping up with work, but you're also making sure that your mental health at the moment is the priority.
Exactly, yeah, and it's really important because, you know, being confined in one place for such a long time makes you appreciate what you've got around you. So it's really important, yeah, definitely. Well, Bethan, thank you very much, and sorry yet again for the lovely technical difficulties during your slot of all times. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, all right, bye.
Bye. That was Bethan Hogan, everyone. She is the member of the Youth Parliament for North East Hampshire. It is now 4:17, and we will have a short break as I transition to a new room. Thank you very much, all. See you very soon. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Big 12 Hour live stream. Sorry that I had to switch yet again, but hopefully everyone is doing well today. I will be announcing a lovely little competition a bit later, I think, but we will hopefully be announcing it quite shortly. Do